Hello and welcome to Fish Tour Summer 2022. It can officially begin because we, the Helping Friendly Podcast, are going on tour and recapping Fish shows. We're very, very excited to do this. We have an incredible show to recap here from last night in Orange Beach, Alabama. Check it out.
Bama.
527. Bama represent 527
War Eagle.
2022. Honestly, we are very early in the show for sports references from Mr. Jonathan Hart. I'm into it. I am here for it. It is a Saturday morning. My name is Brian. I'm here with Jonathan and Megan, and we are going to be recapping for you all the Orange Beach, Alabama show from May 27th, 2022, diving into what I thought was a good show. A really good show, a very good show. I'm very excited about what the band played last night, and I can't wait to dive into this with you guys. Do you have any overarching thoughts before we get into the nuances, the weeds, if you will?
Yeah, they came out swinging for this little spring tour. I thought, is it gonna be the best show of tour? No. Is it a bad show? No. So yeah, there's some good stuff to discuss here.
Yeah, I feel the same. Really excited to talk about it. And they played 20 songs last night, and 12 of them they did not play at MSG. So I thought they were being really thoughtful about playing some new stuff that they haven't played in a while.
I always love it.
That's a good tip.
That's a really good point. That's very good analytical deep dive. So
Right
early
away.
in the show, right away.
Right.
We've got more stats to bring to you guys. But yeah, no, that's a really interesting point. They were clearly, I almost felt like the MSG run was like this, not a greatest hits, but like, hey, these are our songs that are always going to work. There wasn't a ton of risk taking with the set list construction, not a critique at all. It was more just, hey, this song works here. We're going to play it. We're going to go deep on it. Last night definitely felt a little bit like, let's see what happens if we play this song that we haven't played in a while. And let's see what happens if we put this song in the middle of the second set. And I'm excited to dive into what that all meant. Because if you are wondering as well of what it means when Fish plays a show, you've come to the right place. Before we dive into the nuances and the weeds, if you will, of last night's Fish show from Orange Beach, Alabama, and I will, couple points of business for you all out there. First and foremost, we would love to talk with you if you are on the road going to Fish shows this upcoming spring, summer. Hit us up on Twitter. We will get you booked and ready to go. We had an amazing guest lined up for today. Unfortunately, he is having a bit of on-site car trouble. Logan Milligan, be well. Know that you are invited back to any recap here in the future. Really, really excited to talk with you here at some point in the future. We've got a couple guests lined up here for the remainder of this week, but we're always willing to talk with more people. So hit us up. We would love to hear your thoughts because you hear our thoughts all the time. We'd love to hear your thoughts about what this experience was like being on site. And I have a couple notes about tonight's show from on-site attendees. We'll get to that later. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is please subscribe to HFPod Premium on Osiris Media on Apple Podcasts. It's a great way to support independent podcasts, get bonus content. We released a great bonus episode yesterday where we talked about a couple albums that we are all into that have nothing to do with Fish or the Grateful Dead. Really, really fun episode. I enjoyed talking through this stuff with you guys, and we got some great album recs.
That was really cool. And also found out that there was an album that RJ recommended. Don't worry, I'm not going to say which one. That intersects with my husband's musical vibe. And we both like them, and we didn't realize it. So thanks, RJ.
It's the beauty of a marriage is you discover things about each other years and years into it. Sometimes it comes from your podcasting partners giving you a great album recommendation. Who knows, Just building bridges over here. We're just building bridges over here. We also want to tell you about our sponsor here today. Megan, would you love to tell us, and I know you would you love to tell us about our sponsor here, Sunset Lake CBD?
You're right, Brian. I would love to tell you about Sunset Lake CBD. Their line of smokable hemp products are for the old deadhead or the young fish fan searching for a mellow body high. Smoking CBD has all the benefits of high THC cannabis, but without all the paranoid and anxious side effects. They've got 9 different strains from this year's harvest, so there's really something for everyone. The Hawaiian Haze is awesome for an outdoor show, and Cherry Abacus is best for the end of the night. All of the flower is grown, cured, and trimmed by Sunset Lake CBD farmers. And even better, they have this farm to table approach. They get you really great pricing on premium CBD flower because they're shipping directly from their farm to your door. And speaking of doing things with your spouse, last night I had to watch some Red Sox baseball.
Had to.
Baseball is not my favorite thing to watch. Yeah, had to is definitely an important part of that statement. Had to. And smoking CBD made it a lot easier. I was just a lot more tolerable and a lot more patient about the slowest game in the world. So check them out today at sunsetlakecbd.com and use coupon code HFPod, and you can get 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer owned, Vermont grown.
Speaking of baseball, I just want to debut the summer uniform here right now. We have our Chicago Cubs baseball hat because we Northsiders on Chicago, even though I grew up on the south side of Chicago, we believe even when everyone tells us that we should no longer believe. Plus, Mr. Brent Midland.
So good.
Mr. Brent Midland, the heart and soul of late 80s, early 90s, Grateful Dead, an amazing musician and singer-songwriter. And we celebrate the man's legacy here.
Respect.
Agreed.
Respect given. And with that, let us jump into Fish's return to Orange Beach, Alabama. I'm looking this up on fish.net. In 2014, Fish played the amphitheater at the Wharf in Orange Beach, Alabama. And last night, tonight, and tomorrow night, Fish is playing the Wharf Amphitheater in Orange Beach, Alabama. I am guessing this is the same venue. Just kind of putting two and two together here.
Wow. Great work, Brian.
Off to a great start already, guys. My brother is at these shows, and he was sending me pictures in the hours leading up to it, many of which showed limited cars, a lot of police officers, and not a lot of people. And he was just like, I don't really know what's going on. Is there actually a fish show here? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Alabama. I don't really think that there's much of a lot scene to be had here. They've played Oak Mountain in Pelham a bunch of times, but like this is your first real dive into Southern Alabama in almost 10 years for the band. But about 10 minutes later, I got a text message from him. It was a picture of him just like 5 feet from the stage. And I was like, oh, sweet. You got in. And he was like, yep, just got a ticket 2 minutes ago and walked right in. So by all accounts, this was a very easy ticket to be had. This was a very easy hang inside. I talked with Logan, who's going to be on the show here. He said that he would have wagered about 7,000 people were actually in attendance last night. He said he walked up about 20 minutes before the lights dropped to get like 4th row mic side and just like had a ton of space. So the perks of seeing Fish out of market. It's have you guys ever seen like a bunch of like out of market Fish shows where just like it feels like it's not an event?
Yeah. I mean, I think not in a long time, but definitely, I mean, the Europe tour in 96 was like that.
You just always just got to go flag down. Oh, I went to Europe. I saw you.
I mean, Brian asked, Jonathan.
Fine.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I ask is like I saw the Southwest Fish Tour last summer, that little run through Phoenix, Chula Vista, and LA, and it was very much the same way. It was just kind of like you'd show up at the venue and it was like Fish is playing, but like anywhere outside of it, it was different from like going to Merriweather or like being in Midtown Manhattan or going to Great Woods, where within 30 miles of the venue, you're like, they're going to Fish, they're going to Fish.
Yeah.
Like that drive up to SPAC, you're just like, that person's going to Fish, that person's going to Fish. And like they take over the entire community. These out of market shows are really interesting because it's just kind of like, there is a Fish show happening, but you wouldn't know it anywhere else.
Sounds great. Honestly.
Yeah, sounds chill.
Sounds very chill, very easy, low stress. I do want to just point out, we're not going to address this yet, but this is going to be a debate point later in the show. Jordan Sheldon, did they play quadraphonic Topley? We will address this when we get into the second set. This is a very, very good question.
I'm prepared.
Here.
Me too.
I'm very prepared because my opinion has flip-flopped, which, hey,
really?
Don't call me John Kerry or anything, but that's where it's at right now.
Remember when those were like our biggest political insults? Oh God, those were the days.
That was my first election. And if we want to go down that rabbit hole, we can talk about
so young.
Things used to be so civilized.
So let's dive into the show. I have yet to listen to the sound check beyond the clips that we were sharing around yesterday afternoon, but it sounds like the full sound check is out and available. Set list wise, there's a 20-minute jam, Lonely Trip, Final Hurrah, and in honor of our Megan, a 16, 17-minute gumbo. You materialize this, even if just in sound check form. You materialize this. How do you feel?
I'll take it. There's actually two things I called from our last episode that happened last night.
Well, let's stick to the sound check here.
But the sound check, definitely happy about that. Very happy about that. Any jammed out gumbo I think it's time to come back. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. So have you guys had a chance to listen to it? I haven't had a chance.
No, I haven't listened to it.
I have not, no.
Okay.
I think we'll update folks on our thoughts on it during tomorrow's episode. But yeah, I have not yet had a chance to listen to this. It's my plan here this afternoon. I listened back to this show this morning, and I'm really excited to dive into that. Really, really cool stuff. So the band took the stage shortly after 9 p.m. Eastern, I want to say. It had just gotten dark out. It's the strange realization that like they're playing in Alabama. It's warm out. It feels like we're about to jump into summer, but like, we're a month away from it being light out for the entire first set. So, when they come back for this true summer tour, I'm guessing we're going to get a lot of well-lit first sets, but it was pretty dark when they came out here for this first set here, and they open with a song. Do you all recall what you called for openers?
Not this.
I called Runaway Jim. This was not Runaway Jim.
I think I called for like Drowned or something,
You called Drowned, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I called for Moma Dance, which I felt was like a very safe bet along with Runaway Jim. Those are like, oh, of course, why not? Just like, let's ease into it. They have never once opened with Twist, and they open with it here tonight. They've opened two specialty shows, 6697, which was, I think, the first ball, and 5/15/2000, which is like a radio show that they played in LA when they were doing the Farmhouse tour. So like two shows that are not technically shows,
right,
but they did open up with Twist during those shows. But this was the first time they've ever properly opened a show with it. And this really kind of set a theme for the overall show in the sense that like it dives almost immediately into this blissy space zone. It was really, really wild. What did you guys think about this?
So we had a little conversation earlier on our texts about the jam of the show and stuff. And this is a top candidate, actually. And my re-listen today, I listened to it last night, watched him play it, and I was like, oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Listening to it today, I mean, it doesn't go super deep. It's, 13 minutes long, but it's it gets away from some of the tropes of a Twist jam a little bit, and it's really fun and good to listen to, and a hell of an opener.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice ease in, really pretty space they find like almost right away in the jam, which is really nice. And interesting because RJ was talking about this on the pod the other day about how like he thinks Twist really has some space to grow. And so clearly they're listening to us.
Yeah.
Trey was like, "You think we have some space to grow? Here, we're going to try it out right now and see what happens." It reminded me a lot of the summer 2015 and the summer of 2019. Both had excellent versions of Twist scattered across each tour, and a lot of the versions, aside from the Man Twist from August 12th, which it goes deep 20 plus minutes, a lot of the jams from 2015 2019 around Twist stayed in the like 9 to 13 minute range, but cover just a ton of ground. And I felt like this was one of those, where as I'm listening to it and as I'm watching it and I'm not checking the clock, I'm like, wow, this has to be crossing 15, 17, 18 minutes at this point in time. And then you look back and it's just all this ground covered within, a relatively short amount of time. It was also interesting to me to think about, they open Mexico with the Lizards, and then they open MSG with uh, uh, that 20-minute Carini. There's just a lot of freedom and exploration that the band is allowing with their openers to really set the table for the show in a way that gets away from a Moma Dance or Runaway Jim. And they're kind of almost just saying, let's just dive in and then we'll figure out where we go from there.
Two more quick thoughts on it is, now I lost one of them, but the other is that it's a nice chill jam. It doesn't really go like hard. I think I texted you last night. It's like it's not a guns blazing sort of opener, but they really get into it. And here's the other thought was that it reminds me a bit of a first set Ghost, which
Yeah.
Mhm.
it doesn't go super deep, no heavy big spaces or anything like that, but it really like gets the job done. It's very satisfying. And then we go to Haley's, which was funny in a couple different ways.
I love a Haley's that like comes out of space where like you hear the fading notes of the
Mhm.
previous jam and then they start Haley's. It kind of reminded me of Hartford 2013 when they come out of Golden Age and go into Haley's, and it just, I don't know, it lets off a different vibe as they're starting. It kind of makes you feel like you're coming in from the Kuiper Belt and you're just returning every, what is it, 85 years, 120 years, however long it takes for Haley's Comet to return. It just gives you
It's
that
like 70
sensation of
or
like
something, I think.
70. Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Who
somewhere
would know?
close into that. Who knows? Um, I love Haley's in this slot, and even if it doesn't jam, it's fun to hear at this point in time.
I
Such
had
like
a.
a
So go ahead, Megan.
I was just gonna say it's just like a sunny Haley's version of like this to me is like summer tour. It's like Haley's in the
Yeah.
first set, just like happy. I mean, clearly like something like they did last year at Hershey with this like jammed out Haley's is awesome. But this is a great version and just super fun. I love hearing Haley's during summer tour. It's just like to me, that's just like the vibe of summer tour. It's just like upbeat and just like fun, silly.
Yeah, I mean Haley's is fun. Jammed at Haley's, of course, always welcome. But I had a little internal debate with myself. So watching it last night, I noticed that Trey missed his the cue to start the verse, and Paige was on it, and Trey caught up and was laughing, and so today when I was listening to it, I thought to myself, "It's like, is this the point where we say flubs, blah blah blah, or do we really need to recognize that there's Haley's Comet is a fun and funny song. So if something fun and funny happens in it unexpectedly, just gravy. I think it was perfectly fine and great, and it made me laugh a little bit more than a usual Haley's Comet. Kind of makes me want to laugh. So that was good.
That's a really interesting point that I kind of want to pause on because I feel like these sorts of discussion points we should be diving into throughout this summer tour. It gets away from the like this was a good version, this was a bad version, and it gets to like this muddy kind of like gray area within the song where you have to consider how many songs are in the band's repertoire, how many different songs that they're playing, not just on a nightly basis, but within a rotational, like a run basis. Like it'll be interesting to see how many songs are played in these 8 spring tour shows that are played between now and the end of Deer Creek. And the fact that like a song like Haley's, the lyrics are absurd. The groove is like eating an entire bag of Skittles all at once. It's just like a collection of like bright, fruity, gooey flavors type of thing. And with that context set, I think that you can have a bit of fun and just like miss a note or miss a line or miss a change. And it actually kind of adds to the song rather than detracts from it.
Yeah, so I thought about this too. It's if Fish is going to play every song and remember every vocal cue and every beat, that they're going to have to rehearse those songs. That to do that, they would have to vastly reduce the number of songs that they're playing, or it would have to be a full-time job again. And they don't want it. We don't want them to be unhappy with it, so we don't necessarily want that for them either.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd love for them to be playing, 90 shows a year or whatever, but they're not going to. That's fine. They coming into this run, they'd already played. I don't know the number precisely. Certainly, one could look it up, but over 100 songs, 100 different songs for the year, and they added several new ones again. Last night, as they do almost every night throughout the year. So yeah, Trey came in a little late on the verse. It was funny. Big deal. Trey did not screw up the music. Some would say, oh, but then he dove right into sand. Well, fuck yeah, he dove into sand. We're going to get to that. It was awesome. So, what do you want? I thought it was cool.
I also think that those are the moments when you get to kind of like, you're kind of woken up a little bit and you look up and you remember that these are just like guys and they're just up there playing music for you. It's not like seeing a Broadway
having a great time doing it too.
Fun. Yeah. Like a Broadway show, where they do the same show every night and you don't want that fourth wall to be broken. You want to be completely absorbed in the story the whole time. That's a different thing. This is not like that. This is something where like they're connecting with us and they want our energy back too. And when they have that kind of a moment and when you share that with the band, it's fun.
It's also quite a bit different from missing a bunch of notes in a highly composed segment of a song.
Yes, right.
Totally.
Which takes you out of the song, it does to me. It can take me out of the moment in a way that is not necessarily funny, and not necessarily like, that's funny, that's great. Sometimes it's like, what happened? That's different than what happened here. And we've probably spent more time than necessary talking about it, but I think it's I don't know, I wanted to raise it because it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it.
It was funny, it was fitting, and I think it's definitely something I think to be explored because it gets away from the was this good or was this not good. It's more like, was this an appropriate? And I think that a lot of our episodes over the last 6 months have been dives into the 80s and the early 90s where you're hearing two things happening with the band. That approach that Jonathan was talking about, where they're playing 150 shows a night, everything is meticulously reversed, combined with this effort to figure out how do we connect with people in a truly real way. And the show that we talked about a few weeks back, 5893, is kind of that representation of like, we can be very tight, but also we need to allow things to kind of fuck up in the best way possible. Because when that happens, magic happens. And not saying this was a magical version of Haley's, but it's in that larger.
It's just a good time. They were relaxed and enjoying themselves. Trey was grooving on the intro, and probably maybe thought he had to go around one more time. Whatever.
You ever play a song where you're like, wow, this part is a lot of fun. I totally didn't think that this was a lot of fun. And then you forget something else as a result of it. Like, I think that that's kind of what happened.
It happens to me all the time when I'm like writing a song, working on a new song, I'm sitting down and playing it. And I just kind of find myself in the break between the verses. And suddenly have I played it 4 times like I'm supposed to? Or is this 6 now? Shit. Oh well, like I was having fun, and so it's different. It's not ideal in the studio, but they're live.
We're not in the studio. We're playing. Yeah. It's a party. Having fun.
And the magic's only going to happen when they're having fun and they're loose. So,
which we will get to.
That's the key point right there.
That element carries over later in the show.
Absolutely.
I do want to point out this is a great comment that harkens back to something that we were talking about 10 minutes ago, while also harkens back to a deep-seated HFPod joke at this point in time. Jordan Sheldon says, if Trey was listening to HFPod, I guess he didn't want a pod about Vegas 04.
What was the bit again?
I
Was
feel
it the
served.
MoMA opener?
Yeah, the MoMA opener.
I feel
That's
served.
amazing.
But you know what, Jordan? I guess, yeah, we're not going to have a MoMA opener, or we're not going to have a Vegas 04 podcast. It's
We'll
over.
find
It
out.
didn't happen.
Also,
But it wasn't
thanks for
played
listening.
second. It wasn't played second.
Right. So the door isn't shut.
The door isn't fully shut, but that was good. I appreciate that. So they go into Sand, which is a song that you really can't. There's not really like a bad spot in a show for Sand. It can be the opener. It can be midway through the first set. It can close the first set, open the second set. Like it can be anywhere, and it fucking rules. What did you guys think about this version?
Fucking ruled. No, it was good. I enjoyed it.
That's it.
Sand rips, even at its like smallest, shortest versions, and this was what, like, it wasn't super long, but I thought it was ripping, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Good version.
Yeah, really good. The lyrics to this song just always get me. Like, it's just so well written, this song. And I love any version of this song. I was surprised when you listen to it on Live Fish, the transition from Haley's it sounds like they stopped the tape and started playing it again. I don't know what it sounded like because I didn't watch the live stream last night because I was watching baseball. But I think that it did sound pretty abrupt. But I thought this version was great.
It was abrupt. I mean, they were playing Haley's, and then it was like, do we go into a Haley's jam? Trey just starts playing the riff, and then, they go through the riff, was it 4 times or whatever, he does it, and then everybody's with him, and they go into the proper bass groove intro from Mike and everything, and where the song really begins. But yeah, so he definitely was just like, Haley's out.
Sand is in.
That's fine. It's first set.
Yeah.
I was thinking, so they closed the first set of the Tab show I saw on Sunday at Red Rocks with Sand, and it was a very, very good Sand. And I often wonder, like, when he plays with Tab in the weeks leading up to Fish, if there's like, oh, I really love playing this song here. We crushed this. I want to bring this to Fish tour almost immediately, because it's a very quick turnaround from the closing out the first set with one band to a week later, 5 days later, playing it in the middle of the first set with another band. It also just kind of fits the theme of like, we're close to the water. We haven't played Drowned yet. We haven't played any sort of water songs. So we've got to play something here. It was coming. And yeah, this was a solid, very type 1 version of Sand that, like, it's amazing to think about Sand in 1999 and 2000 when the band would take it out into these 18, 20 minute, just like dreamscapes. And now it's a rock song. Like, what a transition for a song. So there's a pause between Sand and the next song. Trey welcomes the crowd. Paige comes out, hugs Trey. At one point I was like, oh no, what's wrong with his rig? I think he would
whisper in his ear is what it looks like. He's like whispering in Trey's right ear. Maybe give some little peck. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe telling him about the sandwich he's going to make him after. Did you see the sandwich stuff they had online? That was so funny.
A little more of that.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of bread do you think Paige likes?
Oh, I bet he goes all kinds. Rye, some good stuff with good seeds, or oats on the top, or.
It looked like the one he was cutting before the show that Trey posted. Looked like it was kind of like a seedy, natty thing on the top.
Yeah, nice. We're gonna have to get Paige onto our sandwich podcast once I get
Yes, he would be, of course, the person we need.
Helping Friendly Sandwiches will be launching around Dick's 2022 when I make everyone chicken salad sandwiches for the Dick's run. I like a good ciabatta with like a nice like a soft toast, where it's like crunchy but still soft.
I'm not really a ciabatta person. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
On the right sandwich, I'm down.
Sandwich.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is different sandwiches require different bread.
That's a good
yeah.
Anyways.
I'm just a rye girl.
Excuse me. Turkey with mustard, which did he want to fall asleep during the show? What is he doing eating turkey before a concert? Come on. So there's like a little bit of back and forth. Trey seems a little chatty, which is always a good sign. And then they go into This Old Home Place, the first since 11/30/19 in Providence, Rhode Island, I want to say. And you talk about proper flubs, and then you talk about absolutely inexcusable flubs, and Mike Gordon forgetting the like third verse of this the Old Home Place.
It's okay, I knew it.
You knew
all
it.
of
You
the
were
words
singing
were
it.
sung in my house. I love this song so much. It's okay, Mike. We'll forgive you.
That's just Mike
glad they
telling
played
Trey
it.
we need to play this song more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this song is like mid-90s Fish to me. I love it. It's like a throwback.
Yeah, the version that opens the second day of the Clifford Ball does such a good job of just like introducing you to the Clifford Ball. Like, hey, you all saw a 3-set show last night. Then you all went to sleep in your tents. Then you woke up and we're back here and we're going to do it again. The Old Home Place. Boom. Sets the mood. Let's focus on the next like segment of the show so that we can get through this recap here in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, we're jamming up here, we're having a good time, but March of Monster, Dog Stole Things, Halfway to the Moon. I kind of thought I saw this as like hey, we haven't played these songs in some time. We want to just like start to see what works in the rotation. Anything about this segment of the show stick out to you guys?
Good stuff. I wonder how everybody felt about Dog Stole Things. Is actually a question I have, because if there was a time when people I found were not fans of that sort of thing.
Was it like late 90s?
Yeah.
I mean, they played it a lot. Like I remember in 97, right? When they came back, they were playing, I was seeing it like a lot that summer and that fall, but I think it's a cool song, and they don't play it very often now, so it's fun to hear.
Yeah, it's basically on a 3-show rotation through the end of 97. And then since then, it's been very rare. If you look at it in 3.0, there's been, I think, 7 versions. August 11th, 2011, August 10th, 2011, June 17th, 2012, October 28th, 2016, August 6th, 2017, July 10th, 2019, October 30th, 2021, and then last night.
I think
so
it's
like
ripe. Like it's a nice little kick down. I think it's ripe for like a good slow burn jam. Just do it out for about a dozen minutes, 15 minutes, and like just get really like Megan would love the jam I'm hearing in my head.
Yes.
Right now, I can tell you.
Yes.
It is just it could be really, really great. I think it's a cool song. I'll acknowledge that it was probably a little overplayed when it was new, but I dig it.
Yeah, lyrically, it's got such a fishy element to it that I really enjoy. It's a little bit sinister. I'm not super into like the blues riff, but it moves at more of like a Chugel pace. It kind of feels like a Get Back on the Train in some cases. And where we've heard that song jam, it feels like this could have like a slow build type of jam as you're talking like 10, 12 minutes. I feel like it's played less than it should be played. I would cut the rotational time in half and give us like at least a version a year.
Yeah, I would 1 or 2 a year would be great. And I don't know why anyone would complain about that, but
they would.
They are Fish fans.
They would. Speaking of, I don't know why anybody would complain about anything. I just want to say, immediately the second Halfway to the Moon opens up, I text like 5 friends and say, I love this song. And I immediately get backlash from all of them, except for Jonathan. You're the only one in my corner on this one. I think RJ's too. I'm guessing you are, Megan, which is why like there are times, you're not.
No.
I'm not really into this song. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry.
Tell us why. What's up?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I want to like it. I really do. You love Paige so much, but I don't know. I just feel like this song to me sounds a little like forced. I don't know.
See, that's me with like Army of One and Beauty of a Broken Heart. Like those 2 songs don't totally resonate with me, but I really Army like the One, dude. I can't. We'll do that on the Army of One episode where we go through every version.
We're gonna do a Paige song episode. Is actually put it in the doc.
Put it in the doc.
I like that. I'm putting that in the doc.
Put it in the doc. That's a good idea.
I think the thing about Halfway to the Moon is it sounds like a national song to me. and I'm a huge fan of the National, and I could see them covering this, and Bryce and Aaron just like, I don't know. I think it's great. Apparently, we're killing our listeners here by defending our, Halfway to the Moon. So this is
I dig it.
what happens. You say something good about a song that the fan base is not into, and
I think this is another example of a song that is not given its proper chance, and I don't mean by fans. I mean by the band. Like, I think that if they play it a little more, they're gonna find the looseness that it deserves. This song is not that awkward. It's just not that well explored.
I would agree with that.
So they play it so infrequently that they spend all of their capacity making sure they get the composition right. They play it a few more times, a couple of times a year, 3 times a year. They're going to find one that is going to blow everybody's minds, because I think the progression is good. I think the harmonic nature of the song, the things that Trey's playing over what Paige is playing, are really cool, but they're rote. They're not exploring. I like the lyrics, and I think it's a good song.
To your point, I'm just looking at the performances, and when it first debuted in 2010, it was on a like once every 30 show rotation. There's a really good version from Dick's 2011. Megan, you should check that out because it will change your mind about this song. It's an excellent version.
Maybe.
But then from 2013 through 2017, it's basically in a 5-show rotation. And since then, we're back to like a 30-show rotation. So what you're talking about, Jonathan, that like that effort that has to be put into place to actually just play the song, it prevents them from any sort of exploration at the end, which it's not really a jam vehicle.
It's a very different song, but it's a little like Sugar Shack. It's the kind of song that if they played it a little more frequently, and I'm not advocating for this for Sugar Shack, but if they played it a little more frequently, the tricky bits would become a little more natural, and they could find the goodness in the song.
I was at what is famously regarded as the first show where Trey nailed every note in the Sugar Shack solo.
I'm not sure that's happened. I think you're overstating.
I promise you, 12, 30, 16, every note. And like people were hugging each other in my section. I was like, you listen to a lot of Fish if you're excited about this right here. So we move into the Jonathan Hart theme song, which is also known as Stash. Overall, I thought this was a good version. I don't think that this was on par with the MSG version that we heard that like goes into this hypnotic, rhythmic, just insane jam segment. But it was right place, right time. We're midway through the first set of Summer Tour. Let's see how we're connecting. We've played some good songs to this point in time. Let's dive into Stash.
I think this is a good stash. I think it is not a deep stash. I think that it bodes well for the next stash, just as the last stash was really dope. Next stash probably be pretty great. I think the song's got running a strong batting average. They're playing it reasonably well these days. This one is fine and good. It's not like crazy or amazing in the pantheon that includes a lot of amazing versions. So, but
yeah, I mean that's a high bar for sure. This is just like a fantastic, high energy, well played stash.
And what else do you need sometimes?
Yeah, it's perfect. I think it's really placed well, and then going into just one of my favorite ballads ever that they play.
I like Shade is just gorgeous, and I think the fact that Tom was able to write about marital strife in this type of manner and have like the imagery be there and it like really work as you're listening. This song, I think it's one of their best ballads that they've ever played. The only complaint I have about this song, it's a very, very specific complaint, but it's at the end when Trey's singing like, I only like the shade when you're blocking the light, and they build, and then he does the, yeah, it just, It just like every time it happens, I'm like, what? Like you could have just left the beat to
I'm
just
into
like let the music carry itself. Like you said everything that needed to be said, and then you added the yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go in your song. I do it. I do it in some songs. It's just
I realize I'm saying this as like I'm wearing a Brett Midland shirt, which like he would have definitely gone yeah. But it's a beautiful song, and I think when it's placed towards the end of a first set, it's the right type of breather. I had a text locked and loaded with a GIF for you all that I had to delete because it ended up not being true. But it was, that Charlie Day just like conspiracy GIF of me trying to figure out what it means that they opened the first set of Arkansas with I Never Needed You Like This Before and closed the first set of Alabama with I Never Needed You Like This Before. But of course they played Bathtub Gin, so like the joke didn't actually make it out of my drafts, but I was like, this is something I would deeply think about.
Well, I'm glad it turned out to be not a thing for your sake, because I would
for all of our sakes.
Yeah,
but we said it here
and
on
our
live
listeners.
TV and our listeners. But we dove into it. That and then Gin, I thought was just like, it's cool to see an old classic closer mixed with a very new song that the band clearly is loving playing. Even though I Never Needed You Like This Before is not a complex song, it's a straight ahead rock and roll song. But to see those two kind of lift the energy up here at the end of the set it's a cool balance. I love that we're this deep into the band's career and we're still introducing songs like this.
Yeah, ripping rock song followed by a solid Type 1 Gin. What's to hate?
Yeah, really well played, Jen.
And then you and your 7,000 others, everyone spread out, can go easily go into the bathroom, grab a drink, maybe grab a pretzel. If you brought a sandwich, now's the time to eat it. It's got to be a very chill set break atmosphere at that point in time. And nice, warm weather evening in Alabama. Can't argue with that.
Perfect then to start off the second set with a song I really want to hear played this way, which is Slow Llama.
Have you heard one?
Choice.
No. And Slow Llama is actually the reason why I went to night 3 of Atlantic City last year, because I was up here in the Berkshires for the first 2 nights and some things happened and I couldn't go and I sold my tickets and I didn't have tickets to the third night. And my friend was up here and she's like, "What are you doing? Your kids are at camp. Like, why don't you just go to tomorrow night's show in Atlantic City?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's 5 hours from here." I was like looking it up. It's like, that's a long drive to go by myself. And then she's like, "Hold on, my friend has a ticket." I was like, "I don't know." And then Slow Llama came on because we were listening to the show that second night. And I was like, I'm fucking going. And so I drove 5 hours by myself the next day, hung out with people I didn't really know very well, and had the best time. So Slow Llama, I love it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. It's a different song. Like, it completely changes. Brian, could you put Jordan's comment up here on the screen? Because I want to address that just a little bit. We refer to it as Slow Llama. It's definitely Slow Llama. He says it's kind of medium, though. And I will say that insofar as tempos go, I hear you. But make sure you go back and listen to like an early mid-90s Llama, because you might be forgetting what a fast llama sounds like. And I don't mean a 3.0 fast llama. I mean a real fast llama.
A llama that you feel like there's no way a band can play this fast.
Yeah, I mean, some of those are just blindingly fast.
And you can't even dance to it because it's so fast.
Oh, yeah, I can. But nobody should see it happen. So
it wouldn't look good on my Instagram, so I don't know if I want.
It would not.
I think it's interesting because you're right. It's not the same song at all. Obviously, the same lyrics, same chords, very different groove. The groove really changes things. And the vibe of a Slow Llama versus when they play Llama, it really gives you this, I don't know, it gives you this sense of, it feels like Camel Walk in a sense.
Yeah.
It's got that bluesy kind of mid-evening like groove to it.
So they need
and allows you to appreciate the lyrics.
Song about alpacas now.
Exactly. That's the only one missing.
I was curious what was going to happen with this performance. I think I just wrote down curious what happens here. Interesting call to open set 2. Nothing ended up happening. It was just a solid little version of Llama, a slow Llama. And then we move into Soul Planet. And I think we're going to dive deep here into a conversational point that we were having over text before we got on the air here. But my initial question is like, Soul Planet just like sheds jams at this point in time. They play Soul Planet and they just immediately are into an improvisational area once the song ends. Is it time that we just all admit that Soul Planet is a really good song that the band really loves playing, and because they really love playing it, it ends up leading to great moments? Or are the ribbing of the song Soul Planet still warranted?
I would write your comment differently if it were to come from me. So let me try. Soul Planet is a really fun song that Fish really enjoys, both singing, they're having a good time singing it and playing it, but also as an apt springboard for all manner of exploration. I think it is open enough. It's not one of their complex compositions. It's not like trying to go type 2 in the middle of Bowie, which has all these, which they should be doing, which has rigor and limitations and things that they have to tighten back into and leap out of. Soul Planet has just like the doors just open. And yeah, if people dislike Soul Planet, all they have to do is wait a few minutes. Maybe it's one of those songs where they start playing Soul Planet. Let's go get the beer, and then we'll come back and be ready for the jam. People have those songs. There are, frankly, much better songs that people do that with.
Halfway to the Moon.
That doesn't have a jam on it, so it might not be the best example.
We're so early in summer tour for this kind of contrarianism.
Jeez.
We haven't even reached summer tour leg of the tour. We're just still in spring.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously it's got to. This is you. I will quote you on you're over there. I'll quote you on this, Brian. It's got a really high batting average, and I know that you will tell us what it is for jamming, right?
I will. So it really depends on how critical you want to get about performances, because I think you could go really high on this.
Be the most critical.
I will be the most critical I could possibly be. So here's what I'm saying. There's 20 versions of Soul Planet. Okay. I'm going to go through the versions I think are the top tier versions of Soul Planet that I'm using for this. 7/28 2018 from the forum, 8/4 2018 from Alpharetta, 11/2 2018 from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, 8/31 2021 from the Shoreline Amphitheater, the 47-minute version. 10/22 2021 from Action Pavilion in Phoenix, Arizona, and 5/27 2022 from the Wharf Amphitheater. So 6 out of 20 versions. It's a 300 batting average. That is incredibly high at this point in time. If that continues over the next, let's say Fish plays for a decade, we're looking at the band playing 100 versions of this and 30 of them being standout versions. Now, if you really want to get loose with this, there are other great, solid, jammed out versions. You could get yourself into like a 450, 500 batting average with this song at this point in time, which is just shocking and impressive. I mean, that's Dawood Z's territory. That's Tweezer territory. That's David Bowie, if you stopped playing David Bowie after the 1990s territory. It's a good space for a song to be. It's Ghost territory. It's a really good space for a song to be in. It's light territory.
I want to tag onto that, and then we really got to hear Megan's thoughts on this version. The jam chart has right now 6 entries. I think arguably last night's could slide in there. But the note for the Phoenix, Arizona 10/22/21 version, which is 18 and a half minutes, is,
just
quote,
reading it.
this jam is okay. I can imagine many of my friends lapping this up, but I'm mostly disinterested. Sweet heavenly Lord, this final peak is amazing. That's great. Whoever wrote that,
It's so good.
God bless.
I brought just one point about that. I brought friend of the pod, Ben Greenfield. He and I met in Phoenix to do Phoenix Chula, and then he parted ways with me after for LA. And he hadn't listened to a note of Fall Tour to that point in time, so he missed all the San Francisco shows. He missed the Eugene shows, and he walked in, and they opened with Julius. He was like, "Okay, cool." And then they're playing Marsha Monster, and they jam Marsha Monster. And he was like, "This is some of the most amazing music I've ever heard." And then out of the depths comes bum bucka 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 bum bum, and he was like, "No, why are they doing this?" And then they go into this jam, and he was like, "Oh my god, that's the greatest jam!" You know, it's the same type of vibe. Is you're just you're thrown off. Megan, we have taken up way too much time talking baseball and fish. Tell us, which Jonathan started. I just want to point out to everyone. Tell us what your thoughts are.
We did. Well, my version of what you're saying is that sometimes Love and Light dad rock lands in some of the best jams. And Trey loves to play these songs. And so if he's feeling it, then the jams usually end up in an awesome place. So I think if you don't like Love and Light dad rock that they play sometimes, just wait 5 minutes, like you're saying, Jonathan, and maybe it'll end somewhere awesome. So, and I'm always a fan for them playing whatever they want. I actually thought this jam was awesome. I thought they made a real effort to get a little darker, and like, especially around like the 12-minute mark, it gets like crunchy and driving and darker, and Paige is doing these like crazy synths, and
Trey
like
just like starts all over almost at like 12 minutes and something. Suddenly he's, the other jam is just done, and Trey's just like, you know.
Yeah. And it's cool. And I feel like they're trying to do something different there. And I was listening on my AirPods today, and like the synths were coming in on like different ears. And I was like, this sounds awesome. I just think that the samples that they got into too, I don't know what those quotes are that Fishman's playing. Like, I heard him talking about them on Sirius. He's got like some really weird samples he made of like his kids and stuff saying things. And sometimes he doesn't even know what they are. He has some like mysterious ones put on there that he doesn't know what they're going to be when he presses them, which is just hilarious. But they're really creepy. It almost sounds like someone's muttering something.
Well, and one of them was, and was it in Soul Planet or was it in Ghost? This is going to be really hard on the Beaver. It's from Leave It to Beaver. It's whatever June, is the Beave's mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Something like it's going to be really hard on the Beaver or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of like creepy like little quotes, and it's just, I think it's awesome. It's like, I love that it like, I don't know. I thought this was a great version.
Well, and this leads into two talking points. I want to reside in one of them now, and I think we'll return to another one later in a later jam here in this set. But they start these weird quotes, these obscure quotes lead to what sounds like quadraphonic toppling. And around 17 minutes, they start playing this upbeat but slightly demented riff, and that is not music theory speak. That is, it feels like like a weird dream that's not a nightmare, but you're kind of like, this doesn't feel normal, like kind of like an Alice in Wonderland type thing.
Yeah, it's like creepy.
Where like it's creepy, but it's also like, it gets your anxiety going, but it's like slightly pleasant, and that pleasant aspect, it's like why Hansel and Gretel ended up like in the witch's house. It's like, oh, this is okay, right? Oh no, it's very, very bad. Like it feels slightly like that. And Jordan, expert commenter today, thank you for all your participation. I want to return to his question from at the very top of the show. Did they play quadraphonic toppling? So Trey starts singing it. Fishnet has updated their set list to say that Fish played quadraphonic toppling for the first time in 604 shows, which the only other time they played it was December 31st, 1999. Live Fish has it as a song that was played last evening. Jonathan, do you think that they played quadraphonic toppling? Yes or no, and why?
Okay, so kind of. I'm actually going to defer to someone else here because I saw a very well-reasoned response to this question on Twitter from Charlie Dirksen, who you may or may not know, but he's, Mockingbird Foundation, fish.net person.
When he speaks, listen, he is an eternal believer in the Fire on the Mountain Jam.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's weird that I would actually rely on his opinion because of that.
Because you don't hear it.
But I don't actually see the tweet now. Maybe it's been absorbed into some other portion of conversation. But he made the point that, the internal discussions on fish.net revolved around the fact that when they played it at Big Cypress, it didn't sound like the album then.
Right.
And we counted it. So does this sound like quadraphonic toppling on Sicket Disc? No. Does it sound like the version at Big Cypress? No. But they're chanting it with intent. Fish is definitely pointing to whatever makes quadraphonic toppling a thing for them. So I think it counts. It's like Kung. Kung doesn't necessarily have the same music.
Catapult.
Right.
Catapult too.
Yeah.
It's a thing though. So yes, they played it.
As the person who said that this would be one of the bust outs, I just feel like I have to say, of course it was. I mean, it's the expert.
You don't want to argue against your own success?
I don't argue against my own success. Exactly. I'm so rarely successful in these things that I really have to take it when I get it. Yeah, I think that Trey was singing the lyrics very intently, like you were saying, Jonathan. I mean, it was very clear. It wasn't muffled. It wasn't once or twice. It was like repeatedly over and over again. So I think that counts. What do you think, Brian?
Last night, as it was coming up on Fish from the Road, as it was posted on Live Fish, I was thinking it was a mistake, that it was elements of quotes of quadraphonic toppling. And then I listened back this morning and I listened to the Big Cypress version. And I know you say it doesn't sound like that. And I agree with you 96% of the time. It's not the same tempo. It's not the exact same riff. I don't even think it's the exact same key. So like musically, we're already askew, but thematically, and maybe this is just the band thinking, hey, this would be fun. Some people will get this. It will lead to fun debate within the community.
They talked about it on HFPod. Maybe we should.
They talked about it on HFPod. The Fish community influencers,
Jesus, don't ever say that again.
Yeah.
This is live TV.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah,
we'll edit that out. My point is, I think that there's enough musically there that resonates with the version from Big Cypress that I was like, this is a quadraphonic toppling. And it gets to that creepy dream space that we were talking about, that the Big Cypress version gets to and that this version gets to, where you're like, everything sounds okay, but it's not okay. And I don't know what this song is supposed to be about, but like clearly something is happening below the surface that I probably should not engage with, but I can't help. Like the light is just, it's like a bug flying towards a bug zapper. They're like, it feels so good. And then they're just, and like, that's what this song feels like to me. It's so good, but it's not good for you all.
Brian, you have the best metaphors, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm not always like on board for them, but I am amused by them.
You'll follow them somewhere.
Yeah.
So we moved back into Soul Planet to close the song out because we cannot have a jam be open-ended in Modern songs. Fish. We have to finish songs.
Must go back.
Which actually is contradicted in the next two songs. So we have this really interesting jam segment here, and I'm going to talk about this as a block, but I think there's a lot to dive into here. Ghost comes out, which to me was a perfect placement. Middle of the second set. There's a chance here for a song that's going to throw us off kilter. Like this is a song that's going to keep us on from like a flow standpoint. This is going to move into Sense and Subtle Sounds, which is going to then move into Chalk Dust Torture. To me, the Ghost and the Chalk Dust, and this gets to something we were talking about on text this morning. it moves into this industrial space that reminds me of the Deer Creek Simple from last year, which is a space of music that they were exploring throughout the overall tour and the overall year, and most famously in Sci-Fi Soldiers, but I kind of think is still a new terrain for the band in a lot of cases. There's been a lot of like they were in kind of a funk jam or a groove jam, and Trey hits the synthesizer pedal and throws out a couple riffs. And that sound, I love that sound. It's like candy to me, but I can see that starting to become a crutch. What feels new and feels like it hasn't fully been explored is this total industrialized space zone. And you start to get to it in the Ghost and especially the Chalk Dust Torture. And it feels like where the band is using their tools to explore new music. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this. Megan, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I feel like last year they landed a lot more of their jams like this in this kind of like creepier, darker, industrialized machine kind of sound because of that Sci-Fi Soldier influence. But this year, at least so far, it seems like so many of their jams kept finding their way back to this like hopeful, uplifting territory in space. So it's been cool to see last night them try to kind of like push the envelope a little bit more with that, which I thought was really fun. I think that this whole segment's beautiful. I mean, the whole second set of the show is really great. And I think during Chalk Dust, you can really hear them pushing the envelope in a way that they weren't earlier in the show.
I gotta say that like when I got to this Ghost, I started very quickly reassessing the Soul Planet and the jam in Soul Planet. And this Ghost was where I was really finding the kind of jamming that I want to hear. Um, I like your description of it, Brian. You know, it's not traditional old school Ghost. It's a little weird. It's also not super long, but that's okay. I would like it to be though. Next time, maybe. Please.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I thought it was great. I like the drop in the sense though. I thought that flowed nicely. I was way into that, and then they went to Chalk Dust. I'll tell everybody. You know, last night I listened to I watched the beginning of the show, and then I went off and did family things. Which you guys have younger kids, so you don't know what it's like to have to go and do family things with your kids at after 9 p.m. But my kids are old, so my daughter was like, "Come hang out." So I went and hung out, and then I came back thinking I was just turning off the stream because I left it playing up here. And I came back thinking I was just going to turn it off, go to bed, and I walked in on the Chalk Dust Jam, and I was like, "What the heck is this? This is awesome, dark jamming." And jumped on Twitter, figured out where we were. Like, I was astounded and happy, and listening to it again today. Absolutely great. Trey, the song is basically over, and Trey's just like, "No, we're gonna do something." And I'd like to kind of cite what RJ, who could not be with us today because he's off doing some amazing shit that RJ does when he's not here. Chalk Dust has such a high percentage of jamming at this point; it's amazing. Simple comment, completely dead on. Remember, Chalk Dust was like it was the rock song. It was Fish's idea of what a rock song was. And now it is, one of their key jam vehicles. And this is a really nice version. I really dig it. And I don't know if you wanted to do this as a standalone question later in this conversation, but we've been at it for a while. So I'm just going to say Chalk Dust is my jam of the night.
It is my jam of the night as well. And I just did a quick calculation here. Some of these I don't think are, so I think I'd have to go back and relook at this, but there are 79 entries for Chalk Dust Torture in the jam charts. There have been 490 Chalk Dust Tortures played, which gives it 16% of versions have jammed significantly, which again, I don't totally agree because like they have the debut version in here from 12/1/95 or 2/190 or 91, excuse me, 2/1/91. I know someone's going to hear that and aggregate it. So, let's pause that. But the point being, you have this song that up until the 7/25/97 version, which is in the second set, Bob Galati is on second drum kit, is just a 7-8 minute long rock song. And that version goes 15:48. And then it's 4 years later, they play the Camden version. And then there are some long versions throughout the latter part of 1.0, but then you get all these massive jams off Chalk Dust Torture in 2.0. And then the band comes back in early 3.0, and it's back to being a rock song. You get this standalone version from 6/25/2010. And then in the lead up to Dick's 2012, it starts to spread its wings again. And from Dick's 2012, where they played in the late second set, similar slot to this version, that version goes 18:29. Since then, you get multiple 20 plus minute long jams, and the song kind of resonates in a 15 to 19 minute long zone where once they finish the song, they're off and running, and really anything is possible. It's an incredibly diverse vehicle. You think about the version that was played at MSG that was beautiful, really didn't utilize effects in any way. It was just like very clean, straightforward, melodic lines. And not even, well, just over 5 weeks later, they play a version late in the second set that clearly wasn't planned. It comes out of Sense and Subtle Sounds and explores a totally different, opposite end of the musical spectrum. It's just wild that a song like this, that was written, as you said, Jonathan, as a rock song, has grown into what it's grown into. And not every song needs to do this, but like, how incredible is it that 40 years into their career, we have a song like Chalk Dust Torture that does this for the band?
I am looking forward to the first 25-minute version of Shade, though.
Based on the timing, I think
Never
that we're
know.
going to have to wait till the mid 2040s for that to happen, just based on the trajectory of Chalk Dust. We move then into the set closer, Loving Cup. It was the first time Loving Cup closed a second set since Glaze Night at the Baker's Dozen, which 5 years ago just feels longer than I expected. It's usually an encore slot. I saw it open the second set in Phoenix. There's a very good version that comes after the one-time cover of Gloria when they played St. Louis the night that the Blues won the Stanley Cup. And then they played Loving Cup, Ha Ha Ha, and Loving Cup went into a cool jam. But this version is just like, when I first got into Phish, it was Bittersweet Motel that was my guide. And there's that excellent version of Loving Cup from The Great Went. And I will be fully admitting this. I did not know it was a Rolling Stones song when I first heard it. And I was like, wow, this is a really good song that this band wrote. Now, it takes nothing away from other great songs they wrote, but like, it's just such a really good rock song. And it's really hard sometimes to separate like its placement from the fact that it's just a really good song. And this version absolutely crushes and just reminds you why this has been played 141 times in their overall career.
I love this song.
Me too.
Just say,
so good.
Great closer, and I said it to you guys last night. I said it earlier today. They could have, for me, finished this song. Trey says goodnight. They could have left the stage and not come back until tonight, and I wouldn't feel like they ripped us off.
Because you don't like encores?
Well, yeah, I think encores just, they're dumb unless they're special, and so you guys can argue what that means, but it's not like we're out there going, yeah, give us more, chomping at the screen.
Speak for yourself,
and
Jonathan.
the seats out until they come out for the encore.
Speak for yourself.
But I'm speaking for the overall crowd at a Phish show when they leave. People quiet down, look for their stuff, kind of, wait, and then the band comes back out and they're like, yeah, everybody's very psyched. But, it's not like they have to come out and play a little more to keep us from burning the building down.
I really
That's
like
what
this
encores are for.
Not burning the building down.
Yeah, keeping the audience from burning the building down. Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, if they stop doing them, then maybe that would happen.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. Is now they're locked into it.
They're locked in. Yeah, they have to.
It's
I like Loving Cup, though, as an end of set closer. I feel like it's always so much an encore that I really like it in this spot because this song is bittersweet, and I love this song so much. Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
I'm going to agree with Jonathan here. I kind of would love to see them adopt a practice of an encore as optional.
Oh my God!
Because what did we learn or need from Waste and Santos? It's good. I like Waste. It's great, little mellow. Mm-hmm. Santos is like the 3.0, 4.0 version of Character Zero. But what did we need to say after
during Santos when they started playing Santos? I was like, okay, I'm going to bed.
I was sitting on my patio.
You have to be in the room, you know.
I listened to it today. I don't have a problem with Santos. It's just like it could go long. Like it's always a possibility. When I'm there, I don't leave till the lights are up. It's not like I walk out on a Santos encore. But when I'm home, I'm like, okay.
Right, but they are playing.
I started cleaning up my patio.
They are, of course, they are.
I was like, hey, it's time to get ready to go to bed. Got to go inside, floss.
It's a fun song.
Do all the things needed to get into bed so that I can read 3 pages of my book, and then it falls on my chest, and I just wake up 4 hours later like, oh God, the light's still on type of thing, music's blasting up at my chin because I have my phone right here type of thing. I got to get ready for that. And I was like, I can't, like, they're not going to jam Santos at this point in time. I guess, like, you get to the end of the second set, and we've talked about this, and you kind of have this sense of sadness, like it's over.
Yeah.
And you don't know how many people are at the show last night that are not going tonight. It's not like every person in attendance is doing the whole 3-night run or multiple shows this summer. That might have been a lot of people's only shows of summer 2022. So like they want a full show. I get that. But what do you need to say? And this kind of gets me to my overall thoughts about this show more than anything. I think last night was one of the best tour openers the band has ever played. I think it was by far the best tour opener that they've played since June 7th, 2012. And I think it's a tier or two below 97's tour openers, 98's tour openers, 99's tour openers. I'm thinking 630, 99. I'm thinking 1029, 98. I'm thinking 721, 97. It's not on that level, but like you're getting into that territory when you think about like when was the last time they played a second set this fluid to open a tour? Usually you'll get like one pocket of a good jam and then, hey, let's try these 3 songs in the middle of the second set because it's the tour opener. Let's just see if they work. Like this was an intentional, fluid, damn near perfect second set that I will be playing over and over and over again. So what else do you need to say after Loving Cup? Nothing.
Yeah, and thanks to those MSG shows, probably why this tour opener was really great. But I just feel like it would be so weird not to do an encore now, and also sad. I just want that one more bite. It doesn't have to be the perfect bite. Maybe it's not the perfect bite that we, want.
You're arguing for the sorbet following like the perfect
I'm fine.
one.
I'm like, I still like a sweet treat no matter what, even if it's not amazing. I always want dessert. Always.
If they had ended with the set with Chalk Dust Torture and just then left the stage, come back and played Loving Cup, we wouldn't be having this conversation, or would we? We might be having the same conversation.
Yeah.
But it would be the same music as everything but the Waste and Santos. And we would have been like, perfect, great show, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't have played it. I'm not saying they shouldn't do... Well, I am saying overall they probably should go encore optional. I recognize that they won't.
I hope
they
not.
won't. And
won't.
It would be weird if they tried to change
at this point. It would be very weird.
Yeah.
It'd be weird. Yeah, it'd be weird.
But let us all acknowledge that the format itself is kind of weird. And I respect the bands that, there have been bands, and I can't remember which ones right now, that of late who, say the thing. I think the War on Drugs did it.
War on Drugs did it.
We're not going to do that thing where we leave and you guys scream and we come back. We're just going to keep playing.
I guess I just like to have those moments where I like clap and like appreciate them more than once, like or more than twice or something. Like there's just something kind of theatrical and like, performative about it that I like because I like those kind of pageantries.
I mean, it's true. It's not like we're clapping after every song or whatever.
No.
I get that.
It's like this is a moment when you get to see them take a bow and you're like, you just stand there and you're like, wow, like I'm so happy to be here. Like,
If they play another really sick ass Bowie, they could take a bow mid-set again.
They could.
There you go.
They would have to play a really sick ass Bowie though, and that's the challenge.
Really
that is a technical term. There are sick Bowies. There's a sick ass level of Bowie though.
Yeah,
that's very
that's
hard to reach
for a while.
But it'll happen because it's on the summer wish list. So,
you guys ever have like a really, really, really good meal, and you're like, I have to have dessert because like something has to cap this off, but you have the dessert and suddenly like now you're full.
Yeah, it's like
and
too
you
much.
weren't full when you finished the dinner, and so now like the dessert has taken you away from the dinner, but like you kind of needed the dessert. It's kind of what an encore feels like sometimes.
Well, now you're arguing actually almost beyond me, and I'm not. You're making the case for the existence of bad encores. I won't say they don't exist. I'm not saying this has happened here. I'm not saying they happen much. I don't want to. I'm not wanting to associate with your argument, Brian.
I'm not saying that this made me not like the second set. I will be clear. I'm just saying I don't think that this encore was totally needed in the vein of this. You play this loving cup, boom, we're done. And I'm not advocating for the band to change the structure of the show. So,
they should have said what you said, Brian. Trey should have said, "Thank you, Mississippi. There will be no encore." And then
glad that joke finally got acknowledged.
Oh no! Well, I mean, I was citing the Simpsons episode when I said Springfield in our text.
You were good. You made a comment. I appreciate it.
I should have said, at first set, it's good to be here, Springton.
Springton.
Look at the back of guitar. Anyways, can we just talk more Simpsons, or should we wrap this up? I don't know.
Well, we were going to wrap this up after Jordan Sheldon. I got in trouble for not taking my dog out to pee during the encore, and I couldn't argue with my wife in good faith that I needed to watch that. Nothing.
I get that.
Nothing clear.
I mean, I have a dog,
that is it.
I totally get that.
I totally get that. You're like, I have one more chore to do, but like the encore's coming, and then you're like, it's Waste and then Santos, and okay, I can go take the dog out. I can do this.
Could have gone, but it didn't.
Gone.
Just in case it was Sleeping Monkey.
There you go.
All right. So as we do always, we're going to figure out where this show ranks in accordance to the 2,000 plus other Fish shows. So everyone submit, I'm joking completely. We don't do that here. This was,
I will rank this show. This is the best show of spring tour so far.
Sure is.
We've got opinions and we got dad jokes around here, guys. Come back tomorrow for more of those.
Sorry.
I will just reiterate, I think that this was the best tour opener that we've heard the band play since 6/7/2012, which if you haven't gone back and listened to that show, cannot recommend it enough. Unbelievable stuff there from the band. You could probably make an argument for 8/15/2012 with a killer rock and roll, but I like 6/7 as a more complete show. The second set was everything I want from Fish on night one of tour, and that is not usually something you can say. Usually you're like, cool, there's new songs, there's cool new sounds, there's this, there's that. This was a complete second set in the best way possible, and I really, really look forward to what the band has in store for us this evening as we move into the second night of the spring 2022 tour. We will be back tomorrow, May 29th, to recap the May 28th show, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you caught this episode late for whatever reason, we're going to release it on a podcast here shortly. Should be out within the next 30 minutes or so. But thank you all for hanging with us here. Thank you, Jordan Sheldon, for your excellent comments throughout the show. You're more than welcome to be on the podcast at some point this summer if you're going to any shows. So hit us up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Shayna, who weighs in that she agrees with Megan 100% on the encore issue. I think.
Yeah. Notice that didn't get posted. Thanks, Shayna. Thank you, Jonathan, too, for noticing that.
We're not just gonna post it, we're gonna star it, so it's a comment that everybody can see. Yeah, thank you everyone for hanging with us here today. Thank you guys. It's always fun for me to hang out with you guys, and I love that we now get to hang out even more because it's Fish Tour.
Me too.
Jonathan, do you want to tell us about our sponsor, Sunset Lake CBD, one more time?
Brian, I would love to tell you about our sponsor, Sunset Lake CBD, but I'm going to have to stall for a minute while I bring up the official ad copy. But let me tell you about Sunset Lake CBD. I'm a big fan. I use their CBD hemp salve, whatever we call it, there on the regular. Particularly, just about every time we talk about their products. Sunset Lake CBD is a majority employee-owned hemp farm located just outside of Burlington, Vermont. For years, Sunset Lake was a dairy farm producing milk for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. In 2019, they diversified and started growing hemp for CBD. Sunset Lake CBD embraces Vermont's tradition for land stewardship by using sustainable and regenerative farming techniques to build and protect healthy soils. They are 100% pesticide-free. They use minimal tillage and implement cover crops and crop rotations. I actually know what most of that stuff means. I'm not a farmer. It's really cool. It's good for the earth. It's good for the local watershed as well. They also serve as a research farm for the University of Vermont agronomists to study hemp and inform best industry practices. Look, CBD is, I use it for the salve. I don't know for sure that it really helps my arthritis in as much as that, the massage also helps my arthritis, but I kind of think it does. So I use it. And, the smokables though, they definitely, they make me feel good without psychedelic effects. And sometimes you want psychedelic effects, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can't deal with them. And that's what this stuff is great for. And it's great, like, clean product. They're taking care of the earth. You got to love a company that's doing that. So check them out at www.sunsetlakecbd.com. Use our coupon code HFPod for 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer owned, Vermont grown.
Absolutely. And I want to tell you all about Cash or Trade. Cash or Trade is the only secondary ticketing marketplace where fans can buy, sell, and trade tickets at face value. Fans are able to DM each other before, during, and after a transaction. You can rate and review each other when a transaction is complete. There are no added fees to sell your tickets. All sales are fully protected by Cash or Trade's trader protection policy, which guarantees your money back should there be any issues. Users can avoid purchase fees with a gold membership subscription. Please visit cashortrade.org to learn more and use their services. And I also want to tell you all about our friends over at No Simple Road. We'll be doing a live stream on these larger Osiris feeds here today at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. They're going to be doing a live stream cribs style version of the porch.
That's awesome.
The porch where they hang. They are all based out of Portland, Oregon, and they have a very, very cool setup. Amazing, amazing people. Jonathan has been a guest on the show, definitely once, if not multiple times.
I've been on there twice, and they're really great people. I love them. So
some of my favorite people to talk about literally anything. It could be music, it could be wellness, it could be challenges that they're going through, it could be concerts, it could be books that they're reading. They're just one of my favorite podcasts we have here on Osiris Media. They also are going to be doing a cannabis review. Apple, one of the hosts, is going to be doing a cannabis review. So check them out. No Simple Road, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.
It was Apple's Osiris birthday earlier this week. So if you watch, get in the chat, wish him happy birthday.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. Happy birthday, Apple. We love you all over at No Simple Road. And we're going to have them all on here. I think that they're doing some shows here later in the summer, so we're going to have them on.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
I think they're going to be at Dick's, actually. That will do it for us here today. Thank you all to our listeners for hanging with us. Thank you for engaging with us in our spirited discussion and our I don't know. Did we say no more encores or not? I don't know. We'll have to
No.
resume
my
that
God,
conversation
no.
tomorrow.
No.
I think
God.
we've probably beat it to death. I am not saying no more encores. I'm saying they should give them up, but they won't. I know they won't, and I
I
accept
bet
it.
tomorrow's encore is going to just be like a total smoke show. And then we
Those are
all have to eat
great.
your
Do
word.
that.
Yeah, anytime they want to play a 20-minute Carini encore, I'm into it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
wouldn't have
you want to
gotten
come
that,
back
Brian.
out? You played Sleeping Monkey. You left the stage. You want to come back out and play You Enjoy Myself? Okay. You know, special
That
encores.
is an encore. And with that, we are going to go to retreat. This is our first set of summer tour. Will we come out for an encore after night 4 of Dick's? TBD. But come back, tune in every day, every show to see if we will. My name is Brian. We got Jonathan, Megan. We will see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we may have a very special guest who may be related to me, who may be seeing a lot of shows this summer, and may walk himself into a returning feature on HFPod to showcase his overall experience. But we'll see.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
All right.
We will see. Until then, everyone have a great Memorial Day weekend. Plant
Be
some
well.
flowers, work on the garden, do whatever you need to do. Enjoy fish tonight. We'll see you here soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.